Not going to waste any time. We're going to get right into it today. We're going to jump straight into what's real, what's fake from this past weekend. And for those of you that are new subscribers, what we do here every Tuesday is we take headlines from the past week, the past weekend, and we determine which ones are real or legit and which ones are an overreaction or fake. Starting off today, it is time to worry about the future of the New England Patriots. Real. I got this one from Sports Illustrated, and I tweaked the title a little bit, but the sentiment is the same. After the Patriots got blown out by the Broncos last week, I came on here and I told you guys that it wasn't quite time to panic in New England. Cam Newton was coming off of the ridiculous COVID protocols, hadn't practiced with the team in a couple of weeks. The Patriots themselves were thrown off because their games kept getting delayed. Now, that might not seem like a big deal to some of you. To some of you, it might seem like an advantage, but it definitely has an impact. Professional athletes are all about routine, repetition. They have the same schedule every week. Practice, same time, every day. Hit the gym, same time, every day. Eat, same time, every day. So, when that gets tampered with or adjusted, it can be a huge distraction. None of that was a problem for the Patriots going into their game Sunday against San Francisco. Yet for the second week in a row, I didn't know what team I was watching on the field in Foxborough. Sure didn't look like the New England Patriots to me. Looked more like the Dallas Cowboys, who, by the way, we're going to get to in just a second. Something is up with Cam Newton. I'm not trying to excuse his performance the past couple of weeks, if you could even call it a performance. The past 2 weeks, without a doubt, Cam Newton has been the worst quarterback in the NFL. At the 8-minute mark of the second quarter, when he threw another back-breaking interception, Cam Newton was 2 of 4 for 9 yards. At the 8-minute mark of the second quarter, 2 of 4 for 9 yards. The past 2 weeks, he is a combined 26 of 40 for 255 yards, 0 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. You cannot get much worse than that. I don't know what's going on with Cam Newton. I don't know whether it's a mental thing or maybe he's got an injury that we don't know about. I don't know. But just his demeanor, his attitude on the field, it's just not the same. He looks miserable to be in New England right now. Now, is it time to worry about the Patriots? I hate overreacting. I hate to overreact. The NFL is such a week-to-week league. Things can change from one week to the next. But if I'm a Patriots fan, I'm starting to get a little bit concerned. Not only would I be concerned about Cam Newton, I'd be worried about the team as a whole. The defense sucks. Just like last year, the wide receivers, they are not creating any separation, which might explain some of the problems that Cam Newton's having. He's not Tom Brady. He's not Drew Brees. Cam Newton has never been the best when it comes to accuracy. He's completing only 59.8% of his passes on his career. He needs his New England receivers to be able to create separation. And that's just not happening. They're not doing it. Cam Newton has thrown into tight windows more than any other quarterback in the NFL this season. Nearly 30% of his passes are thrown to receivers that have a defender 1 yard or less away. New England receivers, they're only open, which is 3 yards or more of separation. They're only open 29.5% of the time. That's 6th lowest in the NFL. Now, Bill Belichick made the decision to put in Jarrett Stidham in the 4th quarter. But by that point, the game was over. But there's some that are reading into that, thinking perhaps that Cam Newton's on a short leash. I don't feel like that's the case. Cam Newton's going to start in New England going forward. Things are not going to change offensively with Jarrett Stidham or any other quarterback at this point. He'll still be throwing to receivers who can't create separation, just like Tom Brady was last season. Now, speaking of Tom Brady, I also see some that are claiming Bill Belichick is regretting sort of pushing Tom Brady out the door. I couldn't disagree more. I don't think Bill Belichick ever regrets anything, but He definitely doesn't regret moving on from Tom Brady when he did. Bill Walsh, Hall of Fame coach, he once said, "It is better to let a franchise quarterback go a year early than a year too late." And what he's really saying there is, when your franchise quarterback is 43 years old, even though he might have a year of great football left in him, it's better to start the future now instead of later. Now, I said I'd be slightly concerned about the Patriots a second ago, and the reason I said slightly is because we have seen this from Bill Belichick teams before. We have seen his teams look god-awful in September, October, and turn it on the last half of the season and win the Super Bowl. But it feels different this time around. I mean, for one, number 12 isn't under center anymore. But two, and more importantly, it's not just that the Patriots are losing. It's how they are losing. They are not in these games. These aren't competitive games that they're losing. They've been dominated 2 straight weeks at home. They've turned the ball over 14 times already this year. They only had 15 turnovers all of last season. They're coming off their worst home loss in the Bill Belichick era. And they've got 2 tough games coming up with the Bills and the Ravens. I mean, we'll see what happens. We'll see how they play. It has got to start with Cam Newton in New England. He has got to play better. But if they get dominated and blown out 2 of the next 3 weeks, the season is over. And the Cam Newton era in New England is likely going to be over as well. All right, up next, the New York Jets are the worst team in the NFL. Fake. I got this from the New York Post. Now, don't get me wrong. The Jets suck. The Jets are an embarrassment. But the Jets have a long way to go before they even think about being mediocre, much less good. But there's one team in the NFL that's worse than the Jets. Now, some of you might be thinking I'm talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, the Jags, they can get an honorable mention for being one of the worst teams in the league, but Jacksonville's not the worst team in the NFL right now. No. The honor of worst team in the NFL through 7 weeks falls to one team. The Dallas Cowboys. There's a difference between the Jets and the Jags and the Cowboys. The Jets and the Jags, they came into this season with 0 expectations. They're actually meeting their expectations. We all knew they were going to be terrible. But the Dallas Cowboys came into 2020 expecting to make the playoffs, expecting to win the NFC East. I told you guys over the summer that Dallas was going to finish this season 6-10. You can go check that video out in the archives. It seems that even I was giving the Cowboys too much credit, though. This team might not win another game at all this season. They are that bad. We are 7 weeks into the year, and it looks to me like this team has already quit on Mike McCarthy. The effort Sunday afternoon in Washington for the Dallas Cowboys was non-existent. That was some of the worst play that I've seen from an NFL team all season. And that's saying a lot, considering the fact Dallas has trailed by double digits in just about every game this year. Let me tell you how bad this Cowboys defense is. Washington. They're one of the worst offensive teams in the NFL. Going into week 7, Washington hadn't scored more than 20 points in a game since week 1. They've only done it once all year. They hadn't gained more than 343 yards of total offense all season. You know what the remedy is for a struggling offense in the NFL? The Dallas Cowboys defense. They made Kyle Allen look like an all-pro. The Cowboys offense, they decided on Sunday that they were going to outsuck the defense. The Cowboys gained 142 yards on Sunday. No, I'm not talking about in the first quarter. I'm not talking about in the first half. That is 142 yards for the game. 59 yards passing, 83 yards rushing, 0 touchdowns. They put up just 3 points. Fans were trashing Andy Dalton last week for his poor performance. Well, it was even worse on Sunday. But it doesn't matter who the quarterback is in Dallas. They don't have time in the pocket to throw the ball. The Cowboys' offensive line is garbage. They are dominated every week in the trenches on both sides of the ball. Let me tell you another reason why I say that I feel like Mike McCarthy appears to have already lost this locker room. Andy Dalton left the game in the third quarter. Got his head taken off by John Bostic on an illegal hit. Now, if this had happened to any other quarterback on any other team in the NFL, the 10 other guys on the field would be coming to the defense of their quarterback, in this case, Andy Dalton. Now, you know what Andy Dalton's teammates did after he took that hit? Nothing. Nothing. Not one player came to his defense. I mean, to me, it was shameless. And it just speaks to the lack of chemistry in that Dallas locker room. Mike McCarthy, he might already be on the hot seat in Dallas. This season has been nothing short of a disaster. Let me run something by you guys real quick. Give you something to think about. At this point, the season is over for the Cowboys. It's time to start thinking about draft placement. Now, I know the NFC East is terrible. I know the Cowboys still have a shot at winning the division, but let's just be honest here. This team doesn't have a chance to win the worst division possibly in the history of the NFL. They are that bad. But just think about this for a second. What if the Cowboys get the number 1 pick in the draft? What could that mean for Dak Prescott? I told you guys many times that I feel like Jerry Jones doesn't believe that Dak is the long-term answer at quarterback. If Dallas gets the number 1 pick in the draft Trevor Lawrence, they could let Dak walk in free agency, fire Mike McCarthy, and sink this sinking ship and start fresh in 2021. It's just something to think about. All right, last up. Baker Mayfield versus Joe Burrow is the NFL's next great quarterback rivalry. Fake for now. Fake for now. I got this one from NFL.com, and I feel like this is just a bit of an overreaction. Not because I don't think Joe Burrow will be playing in the league for years to come, but I'm more unsure if Baker Mayfield will. First of all, let's give credit to both quarterbacks for Sunday's game. That game between the Browns and the Bengals was one of the best of the day. And that's a rare thing when we're talking about Cleveland and Cincinnati having one of the best games of the week. Joe Burrow's a stud. Once he and this young Bengals team learn how to win, they're going to be a threat. They're going to take their lumps this season, but I think the last half of the year, you're not going to want to play Cincinnati. Now, Baker Mayfield, on the other hand, I'm still not impressed. I understand that he led the Browns down the field on that game-winning touchdown drive. I understand that he played well in the second half. But I am still seeing the same mistakes from Baker Mayfield that I've seen going on 3 years now. First pass of the game, makes a bad read, bad decision, throws an interception. Odell Beckham was actually injured on the play trying to make a tackle, or at least that's what he wants us to think he was trying to do. It looked more to me like he was attempting a swan dive into a swimming pool. I actually believe Odell Beckham being lost for the season could be a blessing in disguise for Baker Mayfield. He started the game 0 for 5. He was terrible early on, but without OBJ on the field, without having to worry about getting OBJ his touches, Baker Mayfield settled in nicely, and I'll admit, he looked good. Now, I'm not going to overreact here. I'm still not sold on Baker Mayfield. I need to see what I saw from him in the second half Sunday for a full 4 quarters. And I need to see that against the elite teams in the NFL. Third year in the league. Baker Mayfield's 5-12 against teams with a winning record. Both games against elite opponents this season, he's lost by 31, 32 points a game. Cleveland's beaten Indianapolis, Cincy twice, Washington, Dallas. Those teams have a combined record of 5-15-1. Going into Sunday, the Browns had a minus 24-point differential, which was near the bottom of the league. This does not seem like a 5-2 team. So I'm still pumping the brakes on Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns. And I'm pumping the brakes on he and Joe Burrow being the next Peyton Manning, Tom Brady type rivalry. I'm still not sure Baker Mayfield is going to finish the season as the Browns starting quarterback. All right, that's all for today. Hit that like and subscribe button for me. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Leave me a comment in the section below. Tell me where I'm wrong. Is it time to panic in New England? Are the Cowboys not the worst team in the NFL? Tell me why Baker Mayfield and Joe Burrow are going to be the next great rivalry. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. If you have any questions, a topic you'd like me to discuss, you can email me at BTLKC84@gmail.com. I'll see you guys next time.